You're listening to The Voice of Russia from London. I'm Tim Ecott, and today I'm in conversation with Andrew Faris, founder of the charity Rhythms of Life International. It works with the homeless in some of London's poorest areas. Government statistics have shown that over the past 3 years, the number of British households needing emergency accommodation has risen by around 25%. For charities working with the homeless, the stark reality of life on the streets is all too evident. Rhythms of Life International distributes emergency food in the boroughs of Hackney and Hammersmith. Andrew Faris founded the charity, and he was once on the street himself. In our London studio, I asked him whether he believed homelessness was on the increase.
Well, presently what we've noticed is that homelessness is on the rise, particularly in the roots of the problems are mainly very deprived boroughs, like Hackney, for example, where we are. We're based in Hackney near Dalston. It's the third poorest borough in the United Kingdom. So there's obviously more increase in the poverty side of it. So obviously more people are being made homeless. There are a lot more couples, a lot more singles. It's on the rise, opposed to in some areas there may be figures are going down.
But your experience of actually going out at night and distributing food, which I believe is what your charity does, you're seeing more people than you have done.
More people than ever.
And we have this image, I think, a lot of us who work and live in central London, we see young people sleeping in doorways. But it's not just young people who've come to the city hoping for a better life, is it? There are all kinds of people now homeless.
We have anything from 18 to 80, you might say almost. We have guys who have been on the street for the last 10, 15 years. They're now age 65, 70, 75 even. We have couples married 5 years ago, particularly in one case. They're on the street, both of them. They lost a flat. So it comes with all age gaps, really, all groups.
Some people often dismiss homelessness, particularly in a big city like London. They say, well, these are people with problems, people with psychological problems. They can't hold down a job. They're on drugs, what have you. What would you say to people who thought like that?
I think I would say they're wrong, because we're getting so many different kinds of people coming in now. Economics, they couldn't get the mortgage paid. They borrowed a loan on heavy interest, for example, and they just can't pay for the 3 months, and they're out, basically. There is no second option as regards to the mortgage company or a bank who loaned them the money. So that's not to say that they're on drugs or drinking as such. I think economics has a lot to play for. There are many, many reasons: jobs, redundancies, marriage breakdowns, obviously. Yeah.
So what happens to somebody typically in Hackney where you're working? What happens to somebody who finds himself quite literally on the street on that first night with nowhere to sleep? What are their options?
The options are that if they manage to find us, that to get sustenance, at least they can get some food, or one of our volunteers or myself will sit with them and we'll go through the register of some referrals. We can refer them, we can signpost them to other facilities. They may not all be in Hackney or Dalston, they could be elsewhere as well. There are opportunities in some facilities that may cater for them. Maybe they will find the first night very rough, but the very next day or the 2 days later, we can try and help out in any way we can. I mean, we can try and get them advice on welfare benefits. We can try and get them some kind of a shelter.
What do you physically do when you go out on the streets at night in Hackney or anywhere else in London? What does Rhythms of Life physically do for these people?
We have a set location at the moment where we park our van. We don't have any location to cook anymore. So we park the van. We have different kinds of foods that's donated to us, and we sort out a kind of a food parcel, which means you may have some fresh fruit, you have sandwiches, you may have some carton of drink. So at least keep them going overnight at least.
Where do you get that kind of food from?
We have actually had nice agreements with one particular German supermarket, Lidl's in this case. We have agreements with Eat and Greg's. So they're the people that we go to every day.
So these are retailers who give you unused stock at the end of the day?
End of the day, they can't sell it. They have to throw it in the bin otherwise. We'll pick it up. We'll make it good. We'll clean it. We'll make sure that it's given to our guys instead.
What sort of numbers of people would you see coming looking for emergency food on a typical night?
At the moment, it's about 35, 40 people every night. Some nights are more than others, because some nights there's nowhere else to eat at all.
Presumably more demand in winter than in summer?
Oh, absolutely. You might say it might double. 65, 70 people will turn up every night looking for a hot drink at least, hot cooked food.
Now, tell me a little bit about your involvement with Rhythms of Life, because I believe you yourself were once homeless in London.
Yeah, going back about 12 years now, 13 years coming up. I was on the streets. Again, my problems that I had was more financial than drinking or drugs. Lost my property, lost everything that I had. Found myself on the street. And
you had no other option, you felt?
Absolutely no option. I mean, you could only but try and house yourself. And being on the street for 5 years taught me a hell of a lot. And I think you realize what you can do. What's lacking in the charities is not being able to coordinate certain things they do for homeless. So I try to coordinate those things together so that the homeless guys, our homeless guests, can get maximum help when they come to us.
Paint a picture for us, Andrew. Do you remember that first night? Where did you sleep? What did you feel like?
Yes, I do. I slept at Embankment. I slept in the park at Embankment next to the station. And
on the grass, or did you have a bench?
It was a bench, you know. I scraped my name on it my first night. I don't know if it's still there, but, you know, I was scraping my name on it, and it felt like quite shocking on the first night how bad it can be. Because if you never experienced it, you will never know.
People always talk about the dangers. Did you feel yourself threatened during that time when you were homeless?
Oh, yeah, many times. Things do happen if you're sleeping on a bench, things do happen. I think sometimes people dare to do things, whether it's pouring a milkshake in your hair or things like, you know, it's crazy things, you know, dropping beers on you. Some of them, the favorite one for people is to take your trainers while you're sleeping so you can't run after them. They'll throw them in the River Thames, perhaps.
What did that make you feel like?
Well, it makes you feel like nothing, really, because you feel that you're so vulnerable now in the open that where do you go from here, you know? You either jump in River Thames, which I never recommend and never did. But I think you have to have positiveness in yourself.
What made you not give up hope?
I think
Did people help you?
I knew the one person who can help me is myself.
So how did you physically remove yourself from the state where you were forced to sleep on a park bench? I mean, what was your break? What did you start doing to earn a bit of money?
Well, there's two things I did. I started going to Sunday morning markets to see if I can help any traders early morning, 4:35 in the morning. Because when you have a job, you go on a Sunday for a walk, you go to the market, and you see all the guys, you know, bit conversation. You know, they start at 4:30 in the morning to get their stalls ready. So I thought maybe I could get a job there. And at the same time, you know, there's things like the big issue you can sell. So I did both. You know, so it was good. It was good to sell the big issue at the time because, you know, you're making reasonable without begging. You can make money, and as long as you can save it, it's good. At the same time, the market, you can help somebody, another trader, and you can have that money cash in hand sort of thing.
But you seem to be saying, therefore, that if people want it badly enough, there are ways in which they can help themselves by looking for work.
I don't know how many jobs there are to go around, but I would encourage people to go to traders and get a day's help even. If you can help somebody for a day, they may take you on for the next day. That at one time I actually took up cleaning windscreens, which is so annoying for people. But you do it, and you did
That's
it.
stopping people at the traffic lights and just running out with a bucket and cleaning their window.
That cost me like £4 or £5.
You eventually got yourself back on your feet, and presumably you do have a home now.
I have a room that I managed to find, and somebody's helping me to pay for the room.
But you now spend your time with this food distribution charity, Rhythms of Life International. And you also presumably give advice to people who are in circumstances similar to those you experienced.
That's right, yeah. What we are doing is, from day one, since the charity started in May the 1st, 2008, we always had this thing where we give out the sustenance, the food, but we also must give out advice too. So when people come for advice, we have something set up already for them, like whether it's a benefit advice, housing advice, signposting them, education like English courses, etc. Now we're setting up our own projects too. We have now acquired space in Hammersmith. We got in space in Holborn where we do our admin, but at the same time in Hammersmith, in this particular case, we'll be doing English courses, advice days, workshops, etc. So the guys on the street can actually be occupying their mind to things that will enable them to move on forward, perhaps.
Are a lot of the people you're meeting those homeless, are they immigrants? Are they people who don't speak good English?
They're 50-50. It's never like more of one or the other. There are many British-born homeless guests are British-born, and yet some of them haven't acquired those reading skills or writing skills. And that's what we intend to do now, is to enable them that perhaps now they can read, write. We have teachers who want to teach, and there are guys who want to learn, whether they be East Europeans or any kind. They will come and they will join our workshops and classes.
Is London a tough city to be homeless in?
I think it's an extremely tough city to be in. I think those people who said, or the old days phrase was that streets are paved with gold, I think that they find that the streets are paved with cigarette stubs. And it's really, really tough. It's very, very expensive, extremely expensive. The food is very expensive. Even to stand around and even get a glass of water is expensive these days. So, yeah, I would say it's one of the toughest cities to be in.
I mean, imagine if you are that person who's come to London, you have nowhere to sleep. What are your options if you can't get into a hostel in central London? It's finding a park bench. I mean, the parks seem to be locked up at night. I mean, buildings are designed so that you can't sleep in the doorways anymore. Where do you go?
I think it is true. The parks are locked up, so you can't get in. And I think that your option is the open bench, an open yard somewhere. Anywhere along the embankment, you go at 3 in the morning and you will see that the people are sleeping literally on open benches. And on our website, actually, we just had a picture sent to us. Somebody actually sleeping in Ridley Market on a market stall. In 2012, people are sleeping. George, you're sleeping on a market stall itself. Where else can you find a bench? There's nowhere.
We always assume that Britain is one of those places where there is lots of social welfare, that there is a lot of agencies and a lot of charities like your own looking after people. Do people still fall through the gaps and fall through the net?
Yes, they do. I mean, there are circumstances. Some circumstances would not allow them to have benefits even. There are certain nationalities who are not able to claim benefits. They just can't do it. The system stops them doing that. And with others, the problem is that unless they get treatment quickly, prevention quicker, they're going to be homeless for a very long time. And they may have problems with drugs or drink or gambling even in some cases. So, some of them do it by hoping to get some help anywhere from some kind of charities. All we can do is signpost them and help them to, for the right direction, really.
What kinds of cases can you tell us about, anonymously, of course, about the kinds of people who turn up at your van? What stories are they telling you? Do they want to talk about how they've got to this situation where they're having to take free food?
Yeah, I think they're not so shy about it. I think they want to tell people that, look, they had this. They're more proud of what they've had and what they've got now. I think previously people like to tell other people that, look, I had this before. Unfortunately, I find myself here. I don't know why I'm here, really, but I'm here just for the food. That's all. I don't need anything else. Some of them are very rich. If I can give you a quick example, we got a guy who comes for food. He had a haulage service turning over £1 million 3-4 years ago almost when we first started, and he's still on the streets. Business went downhill, and he finds himself on the street. He lost his house, he's lost his wife, marriage, everything, and now he comes for food. But he's very shy about being in front of other people talking about it now. I know his story. So we're just trying to help him to keep going every day.
And that must be difficult.
It is difficult, but you can perhaps give them from your own example that, you remember, some of them would remember we used to queue up in the same line, waiting for food. And your example would be that, look, if I can try and get myself out of it, how about you also try and do in a similar way?
You've presumably known people who have given up hope, though, and killed themselves.
I think the main times are Christmas time we've had, where one of the girls unfortunately jumped from Waterloo Bridge. I think the worst time is the Christmas time that they confront these things. So, yeah, I'm sad to say there are cases such as that, yeah.
I'm Tim Ecott, and I've been in conversation with Andrew Faris, the founder of the charity Rhythms of Life International.